The red giant star pulsed ominously in the viewing screen, its unstable corona sending waves of deadly radiation across the Arcanian home system. High Elder K stood motionless before the massive window of the council chamber, his four-fingered hands clasped tightly behind his back. The latest reports had confirmed his worst fears. Their civilization had less than 2 cycles remaining before total collapse. The containment field has failed in the outer colonies. First Speaker Len announced, her voice steady despite the gravity of the news. We've lost contact with 3 million citizens in the past hour alone. The council chamber, usually filled with heated debates and strategic discussions, had fallen silent. 12 of the most brilliant minds in Arcanian society, rendered speechless by the impending doom of their species. Their greatest achievements, quantum engineering, stellar manipulation, even their mastery of gravity itself, had proved useless against this threat. The anomaly had appeared 3 cycles ago, a strange distortion in space that turned stable stars into dying giants. Their scientists had tried everything to stop its spread, but nothing worked. It moved from system to system, consuming their carefully built worlds one by one. There must be something we haven't tried, Kay muttered, more to himself than to the council. He turned away from the window, his pale blue skin reflecting the emergency lights that pulsed throughout the chamber. Search the archives again. Look for anything we might have missed. A young archivist named Pell rushed forward, his data tablet clutched tightly in trembling hands. High Elder, we found something in the deep archives. It's unusual. Kay gestured for him to continue. At this point, they would consider any possibility, no matter how far-fetched. There are records, very ancient ones, about a species called humans, Pell explained, his voice growing stronger as he spoke. They're from a planet called Earth, in a system we once observed before focusing on our expansion in the other direction. First Speaker Len leaned forward, her silver eyes narrowing with interest. What makes these humans worth mentioning at a time like this? Pell's fingers flew across his tablet, projecting a series of images into the center of the chamber. They're different from any species we've encountered. Their technology is primitive compared to ours, but their problem-solving abilities are remarkable. They repeatedly overcome challenges that should be beyond their capabilities. The council members watched as images and data scrolled past, humans adapting to every environment on their planet, developing solutions to seemingly impossible problems, and showing an unprecedented rate of technological advancement. They're young as a civilization, Pell continued, but they've already mastered atomic energy, begun exploring their solar system, and shown signs of developing faster-than-light travel theory. But what's most interesting is their history of helping others, even at great cost to themselves. Kay studied the data carefully. It was true. These humans had a peculiar habit of rushing to aid others in crisis, whether it was natural disasters on their world or rescue operations that seemed hopeless. They weren't perfect. Their history showed plenty of conflicts and problems, but their capacity for cooperation in times of crisis was undeniable. It would take them years to reach us, even if they had FTL technology. One council member objected. We don't have years. Then we send them everything, Kay declared, his voice cutting through the murmurs of doubt. All of it. Our scientific knowledge, our technology, our FTL theories. Everything they would need to reach us in time. The chamber erupted in protests, sharing their entire technological database with an unknown species. It was unprecedented, dangerous, possibly suicidal. We're already dying, Kay reminded them, his voice firm. Our choice is between certain extinction and a chance at survival. These humans, they might see our message as not just a plea for help, but as a gesture of trust. And from what we've seen, they value trust. First Speaker Len stood, adding her authority to Kay's proposal. We've tried everything else. Our own solutions have failed. Perhaps it's time to put our fate in the hands of those who see problems differently than we do. The council voted. The decision was made. Within hours, the most powerful transmission array ever built by the Arcanians pointed toward Earth, broadcasting their desperate message across the vast expanse of space. Their last hope now rested with a species they had never met, on a planet they had only observed from afar. The Arcanians, masters of the cosmos, could only wait and hope that humanity would answer their call. Dr. Thomas Reed stared at his computer screen, his coffee long forgotten and cold beside him. The message had arrived at Earth's deep space listening post 3 days ago, and he hadn't properly slept since. As Earth's leading expert in theoretical alien languages, he'd always imagined first contact would come from a position of strength, not a desperate plea for help. "Play it again," he told the computer, rubbing his tired eyes. The strange symbols danced across his screen, accompanied by mathematical equations that served as a universal translator. The Arcanians, as they called themselves, had been clever in their approach. They'd used basic mathematics and physics as a foundation to build more complex communication. The door to his office slid open, and Director Anna Miller strode in. "Tell me you've made progress, Tom. The UN Security Council is breathing down my neck." "It's incredible," he replied, gesturing to his notes. "They've sent us everything. Their complete scientific database, technological achievements, cultural history. They're not holding anything back." Anna leaned over his shoulder, studying the streams of data. "And you're sure about the threat they're facing?" "The math doesn't lie." Tom pulled up a series of calculations. Their stars are being artificially destabilized by some kind of space-time anomaly. They've lost 12 solar systems already, and their home system is next. Without help, their entire civilization will be gone in less than 8 months. The room's display wall suddenly lit up with an incoming call. The stern face of General James Wilson appeared, along with a grid showing other military and scientific leaders from around the world. "Dr. Reed, Director Miller," the general nodded. "The President has asked me to coordinate our response options. What exactly are we dealing with?" Tom stood, facing the screens. "The Arcanians are an advanced civilization, far ahead of us in most areas of science. But they've encountered a problem they can't solve alone. As a gesture of trust, they've shared their entire technological database with us." "It could be a trap," someone pointed out. "Why would an advanced civilization share everything with a relatively primitive one?" "Because they're desperate," Anna replied. "And because they've been watching us. They know about our history of humanitarian aid, our tendency to help others even at great risk to ourselves. They're betting their survival on that aspect of human nature." Tom pulled up the Arcanian data about their FTL technology. "With their scientific knowledge, we could build ships capable of reaching them in time. They've even included detailed instructions for manufacturing everything we'd need." The discussion continued for hours. Leaders argued about risks, resources, and responsibilities. Some wanted to ignore the message entirely, focusing on Earth's own problems. Others saw an opportunity to advance human technology by decades. A few worried about revealing Earth's location to potentially hostile aliens. But as Tom shared more of the Arcanians' message, their art, their music, their philosophical writings about hope and unity, attitudes began to shift. These weren't just aliens asking for help. They were people, facing the end of everything they'd ever built or dreamed of. Finally, the Chinese president spoke up. "My nation will commit resources to this rescue mission. The United States stands ready to assist," the American president added. One by one, world leaders pledged their support. Ancient rivalries were set aside as humanity faced its first real opportunity to help another civilization. General Wilson began issuing orders. "We'll need every shipyard, every aerospace manufacturer, every qualified scientist and engineer. Dr. Reed, you'll head up the communication team. Director Miller, coordinate with international space agencies. We have 8 months to do what would normally take decades." As the meeting ended, Tom returned to his desk, picking up his cold coffee. Through his office window, he could see the first rays of dawn breaking over the horizon. Somewhere out there, an alien civilization waited, hoping their message had reached the right people. He opened a new file and began composing humanity's response. To the people of Arcania, we hear your call. Help is coming. Captain Maria Wells stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, Earth's first true interstellar vessel. 6 months of round-the-clock work by the world's best engineers had transformed science fiction into reality. The ship hummed with power from its Arcanian-inspired engines, ready for humanity's greatest journey. All systems check complete, Captain, reported First Officer Robert Brown from his station. The fleet is reporting ready status. Maria watched through the main viewport as 5 other ships took formation around the Prometheus. Each vessel represented a miracle of human determination and international cooperation. The Chinese Zhenghe, the European Unity, the Indian Vikram, the Brazilian Estrela, and the African Unity, all built using the same plans but each adding their own innovations. Engineering reports the FTL drive is charged and stable, called out engineer Jack Torres. He had been crucial in adapting the Arcanian technology for human use. But Captain, we've never attempted a jump of this magnitude. The simulations look good, but we're about to trust our lives to technology we barely understand, Maria finished for him. Just like every other explorer in human history who sets sail for the unknown. The radio crackled with a message from Earth Control. Prometheus, this is Mission Director Reed. You have final clearance for departure. Good luck, and Godspeed. Maria took a deep breath. Their mission had multiple challenges: reach the Arcanians in time, figure out how to stop the anomaly, and somehow get back home. They carried Earth's best scientists, engineers, and problem solvers, along with everything humanity could think to bring for a rescue mission. Send to all ships, she ordered. Prepare for FTL initiation in 5 minutes. Navigation, confirm coordinates for the first jump point. The bridge crew worked with focused precision. They had trained for months, but nothing could fully prepare them for what they were about to attempt. The Arcanian data suggested their journey would take 3 weeks, an almost impossible distance that would have taken centuries to cross without the new drives. All ships confirm ready, Robert reported. FTL countdown starting. The massive engines began to power up, creating a low vibration throughout the ship. Outside, space itself seemed to bend as the fleet prepared to break physics as humanity had understood it for millennia. 10 seconds, called out the navigation officer. 9, 8. Maria gripped her chair's armrests. Everything they knew about space travel was about to change. 3, 2, 1. The universe stretched, twisted, and suddenly snapped back like a rubber band. Stars became streaks of light, then vanished completely as the fleet entered FTL space. They were traveling faster than light itself, through a realm humans had only theorized about until now. The first few hours were tense as the crew monitored every system for signs of failure. But the Arcanian technology proved reliable, and gradually they settled into a routine. The fleet maintained perfect formation, their computers linked to coordinate their movements through the strange dimension of FTL space. On the 4th day, they encountered their first major challenge. The sensors detected a massive gravitational disturbance in their path, something the Arcanians hadn't warned them about because they'd never traveled this particular route. All stop, Maria ordered. The fleet dropped out of FTL space in perfect synchronization, facing what looked like a tear in the fabric of space itself. Jack studied the readings from his engineering station. It's some kind of natural phenomenon, a bit like a whirlpool in space. We can't go through it, and going around will add days to our journey. Maria stood from her chair, watching the strange spatial distortion through the viewport. The Arcanians needed them as soon as possible, but rushing headlong into danger wouldn't help anyone. Send probes to map the edges of the phenomenon, she ordered. Contact the other ships. We'll find a safe way through this together, no matter how long it takes. The Arcanians are counting on us to arrive in one piece. As the fleet began its careful analysis of the obstacle, Maria couldn't help but smile slightly. Humanity's first major interstellar challenge, and they were facing it exactly as they had faced every other challenge in their history, with caution, cooperation, and determination. The human fleet dropped out of FTL space at the edge of the Arcanian home system, and the bridge of the Prometheus fell silent. Through the main viewport, they could see the destruction the anomaly had caused. The system's star pulsed an angry red, its surface churning with massive solar flares that reached out like burning fingers into space. "My God," whispered First Officer Robert. "The star is literally tearing itself apart." Captain Maria activated the ship-wide comm. "All hands, battle stations. We don't know what effect these solar flares might have on our systems." The fleet spread out in a defensive formation as they approached the inner system. Scattered among the planets were thousands of Arcanian ships, many damaged, all of them struggling to evacuate their people from the dying worlds. "We're being hailed," called out the communications officer. It's coming from everywhere. Every Arcanian ship is trying to contact us at once." "Put the main transmission on screen," Maria ordered. The view screen lit up with an image that made several crew members gasp. High Elder K stood there, his blue skin and four-fingered hands marking him as clearly non-human, yet his expression of hope and relief was unmistakably familiar. "You came," he said simply, his words translated by the computer. "You actually came." Maria stepped forward. "We received your message. Earth stands ready to help." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The Prometheus docked with the main Arcanian space station, while the other human ships spread throughout the system to assist with evacuations and begin studying the anomaly up close. Engineer Jack found himself working alongside Arcanian scientists in their main research facility. Despite their alien appearance, he was struck by how similar they were in their dedication to solving problems. "Your ships," First Speaker Lens said to him, her silver eyes wide with wonder. "You built them in 6 months using our plans." Jack nodded while examining their data on the anomaly. "We had to modify some things to work with Earth materials, but yes, when humanity needs to move fast, we can move very fast indeed." But these modifications, she pointed to several changes they'd made to the engine design. "They're improvements. You didn't just copy our technology, you made it better." "Different perspectives sometimes lead to new solutions," Jack replied modestly. "Speaking of which, can you show me your latest data on the anomaly's expansion rate?" On the station's observation deck, Captain Maria met with the Arcanian High Council. The view below them was both beautiful and terrifying, their golden planet wrapped in swirling storms created by the dying star's increased radiation. "We've evacuated 60% of the population," High Elder K explained. "But we're running out of time and safe places to go. The anomaly follows us wherever we flee." "Then we stop running," Maria said firmly. "Earth didn't send us just to help you evacuate. We came to help you save your homes." One of the council members made a sound that the translator interpreted as disbelief. "Our best scientists have failed to even understand the anomaly, let alone stop it. What makes you think humans can do better?" "Because we're not your best scientists," Maria replied. "We're your best scientists and ours, working together. 2 species, 2 different ways of thinking, twice the chance of finding a solution." She gestured to the fleet of human ships now spread throughout the system. "Look at those vessels. They're built from your designs but modified by our engineers. Already they're performing better than either of our species could have achieved alone. That's why we came all this way. Not just to rescue you, but to work with you." High Elder K stepped forward, touching his forehead in what Maria had learned was a sign of deep respect. "Then let us waste no more time. We have much work to do, and that star won't wait for us to finish our introductions." As if to emphasize his words, another solar flare erupted from the dying sun, its crimson light casting long shadows through the observation deck. The race to save the Arcanian civilization had begun in earnest. Engineer Jack Torres hadn't slept in 36 hours, but his mind was racing faster than ever. He stood in the center of the Arcanian science lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing the anomaly's structure from every angle. First Speaker Len worked beside him, her quick fingers adjusting the three-dimensional models as they studied the problem. "There's a pattern here," Jack muttered, walking through the hologram. "Something about the way it moves between stars." "We've studied these patterns for months," Len replied, though her tone held no dismissal. She had learned that humans often saw things differently, and that made their insights valuable. Captain Maria entered the lab with High Elder K, both looking concerned. "The anomaly's speed is increasing," Maria reported. "We've lost 2 more outer colonies in the past day." Jack barely heard them. He was staring at the oldest data, from when the anomaly first appeared. Something about it tickled his memory, reminding him of an old Earth theory about defense systems. "What if," he said slowly, "this isn't a natural phenomenon at all?" The room fell silent. Len moved closer, her silver eyes reflecting the holographic light. "Explain." "Look at how it targets specific stars, how it moves with purpose." Jack began pulling up comparison charts. "This isn't random destruction. It's methodical, like an automated defense system that's still running long after its creators vanished." High Elder K stepped forward. "An ancient weapon, but who would build such a thing?" "The real question," Maria added, "is how do we shut it down?" Jack and Len worked frantically, combining their knowledge. The human perspective of seeing it as a weapon system merged with the Arcanians' deep understanding of stellar physics. Together, they began to unravel the puzzle. Here, Len suddenly pointed to a complex energy signature. "Every time it destabilizes a star, it sends out this pulse. It's like it's reporting back to a control center." Jack finished her thought. They had begun to think as one team, human and Arcanian minds complementing each other perfectly. The next few hours were a blur of calculations and theories. Other scientists joined them, each adding their own insights. The human fleet's data on the anomaly's effect on FTL space proved crucial, something the Arcanians had never thought to study. "If we're right," Jack explained to the gathered leaders, "there's a central control point hidden in subspace. That's why no one could find it before, but the combined sensors from our fleet and the Arcanian ships can detect it now." "And once we find it?" Maria asked. Len stepped forward with a holographic display of their plan. "We can send a shutdown signal, but we'll have to get very close, within the anomaly itself. The risk is worth it," High Elder K declared. "How soon can we attempt this?" Jack looked at the latest data from the dying star. Its collapse was accelerating faster than expected. "We have maybe 12 hours before the home star reaches critical instability. If we're going to do this, it has to be now." Maria nodded firmly. "Then we don't waste time debating. Prometheus has the strongest shields thanks to the Arcanian modifications. We'll lead the mission." "We'll send our fastest ships with you," Kay offered. "If this is truly an ancient defense system, it may have its own protections." As the others left to prepare, Jack felt Len's hand on his shoulder. The gesture was so human-like it made him smile despite the tension. "In all our years of study," she said softly, "we never considered it might be artificial. We were too focused on natural phenomena, too set in our ways of thinking." "That's why we make such a good team," Jack replied. "You have the knowledge, we have the crazy ideas." Through the lab's window, they could see the angry red star pulsing ominously. Soon, they would put their theory to the test, and the fate of an entire civilization would hang on whether a human engineer and an Arcanian scientist had solved an impossible puzzle together. The Prometheus led a fleet of 6 ships, 3 human and 3 Arcanian, toward the heart of the anomaly. From the bridge, Captain Maria watched the swirling patterns of disrupted space before them. The combined sensors of both species had revealed what they could never see alone: a hidden pathway through the chaos. "All ships reporting ready," First Officer Robert announced. "Arcanian vessels have synchronized their shields with ours." Engineer Jack worked furiously at his station, coordinating with First Speaker Len aboard the Arcanian flagship. A shutdown signal is prepared. We'll only get one chance at this. All hands, this is the captain. Maria's voice rang through all 6 ships, human and Arcanian alike. We're about to attempt something never done before. Whatever happens, remember that today 2 species from different sides of the galaxy stood together against impossible odds. The fleet moved forward as one, entering the outer edges of the anomaly. The ship's hulls groaned under the strain, but the combined shield technology held firm. Through the view screen, they could see reality itself twisting around them. Energy spike, Robert shouted suddenly, multiple signatures appearing. Out of the distorted space came shapes that looked ancient yet deadly, automated defense drones, left behind by whoever had built this system. They were silver and black, moving with terrible purpose toward the fleet. Evasive action, Maria ordered, but stay on course for the control center. The space around them erupted into chaos. The defense drones fired weapons that bent space itself, trying to tear the ships apart. Human and Arcanian vessels moved in perfect coordination, protecting each other as they pushed deeper into the anomaly. Shields at 60%. Jack reported as another blast rocked the ship. The Arcanian ship Starseeker is badly damaged. Maria watched as 2 human ships moved to protect the wounded Arcanian vessel. On the tactical display, she could see the defense drones targeting any ship that fell behind. They were hurting them, she realized, trying to split the fleet apart. Stay together, she commanded. They're trying to divide us. Form up around the Starseeker. The fleet tightened its formation. Human ingenuity combined with Arcanian precision as they wove through the assault. When one ship's shields weakened, another would move to protect it. Every crew member, regardless of species, worked as one. Control center detected. Len's voice came through the comm. But the defenses are intensifying. The central structure finally became visible through the swirling chaos, a massive construct of ancient technology, pulsing with dark energy. But between them and their target, hundreds more defense drones were appearing. We won't make it through that blockade, Robert said grimly. Maria stood from her chair. Jack, how close do we need to be to send the signal? Much closer than this, he replied. Then his eyes widened as he realized what she was thinking. Captain, no. Transfer the signal program to Prometheus, she ordered. The rest of the fleet will draw off the defenders. We're going to make a run for it. Protests came from both human and Arcanian crews, but Maria's decision was final. The Prometheus had the strongest shields and the best chance of making it through. On my mark, she commanded, all ships launch everything you have at the defense drones. Create us a path. Prometheus will handle the rest. In the next moment, space lit up with weapons fire from 5 ships. The defense drones turned to face the assault, and the Prometheus surged forward into the gap. Deadly beams of energy scraped against their shields as they pushed through. Shields critical, Jack shouted above the sound of straining metal. Control center in range in 5 seconds. Maria gripped her chair as the ship shuddered violently. Send the signal. Send it now. Jack slammed his hand down on the console. The shutdown command, created by both species working together, shot out from the Prometheus, straight into the heart of the ancient machine. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to scream. The ancient machine's scream echoed through space, and then, suddenly, everything stopped. The defense drones froze in place, their lights flickering out one by one. The swirling chaos of the anomaly began to slow, like a storm gradually losing its strength. On the bridge of the heavily damaged Prometheus, Captain Maria pulled herself up from the floor where the last impact had thrown her. Status report. Shields are gone, Jack called out from his damaged station. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 5, but emergency containment is holding. He checked another reading, and his eyes widened. Captain, the anomaly is collapsing in on itself. Through the cracked view screen, they watched as the ancient defense system began to break down. The massive control center, built by some long-vanished civilization, was powering down after countless ages of automatic operation. "All ships, full reverse," Maria ordered. "Get clear of the collapse zone." The combined fleet limped away from the dying anomaly. 2 ships had to be towed. 1 human, 1 Arcanian. But they all made it out together. As they watched from a safe distance, the last remnants of the ancient weapon system disappeared into nothingness. In the Arcanian home system, the angry red star began to stabilize. Without the anomaly's influence, it slowly returned to its natural state. Cheers erupted across every ship as the sensors confirmed what they were seeing. "We did it," Jack whispered. Then louder, "We actually did it." A month later, the Great Hall of the Arcanian High Council was filled with representatives from both species. The room had been specially adjusted to accommodate human environmental needs, just as humans had learned to adjust their ships' environments for Arcanian comfort. High Elder K stood before the gathered crowd, his blue skin reflecting the now healthy light of their star through the crystal dome above. "Today, we honor not just the brave crews who saved our civilization, but a moment that will forever change the galaxy's history." Captain Maria, still wearing a healing patch on her forehead from the battle, stood beside him. The Prometheus would need months of repairs, but both her ship and her crew had survived their desperate gamble. "When we sent our message into the depths of space," Kay continued, "we did not just find saviors. We found friends, partners, and proof that different species can achieve incredible things together." First speaker Len stepped forward, standing beside Engineer Jack. Together, they unveiled a new device, an advanced communication system that would allow instant contact between Earth and Arcania. "This is just the beginning," Len announced. "Already our combined research teams are making discoveries that neither species could have achieved alone. The insights we've gained from studying the ancient defense system will revolutionize our understanding of space itself." Maria watched as human and Arcanian crews mingled freely, sharing stories and ideas. The language barriers were falling away, and with them, the ancient fear of the unknown that both species had carried into space. "The Arcanian people have voted," Kay declared. "From this day forward, Earth will be known throughout our territories as a protected friend world. All our knowledge, resources, and aid will be available should humanity ever face its own crisis. And Earth extends the same promise," Maria responded, speaking for her planet. "From this day forward, our species face the challenges of space together." As the ceremony concluded, Jack found himself standing with Len at a viewport, watching ships from both species moving together through the star system. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "when we first got your message, some people on Earth were afraid to answer. They worried about what we find out here." Len turned her silver eyes to him. "And what did you find?" Jack smiled, looking at the bustling activity of 2 civilizations working as one. "We found out that no matter where you go in this galaxy, people are people. Different shapes, different forms, but the same hopes, fears, and dreams. And when we work together, there's no crisis we can't overcome." Above them, the star that had nearly destroyed everything now shone with steady, healthy light. A constant reminder that in the darkest hour, help could come from the most unexpected places, and that the greatest strength lay not in technology or weapons, but in the simple willingness to reach out across the stars and answer a call for help.